A married Irishman went into the confessional and said to his priest, "I almost had an affair with another woman." The priest asked, "What do you mean, almost?" The Irishman said, "Well, we got undressed and rubbed together, but then I stopped." The priest said, "Rubbing together is the same as putting it in. You're not to see that woman again. For your penance, say 5 Hail Marys and put $50 in the poor box." The Irishman left the confessional, said his prayers, and then walked over to the poor box. He paused for a moment and then started to leave. The priest, who was watching, quickly ran over to him and said, "I saw that. You didn't put any money in the poor box." The Irishman replied, "Yeah, but I rubbed the $50 on the box, and according to you, that's the same as putting it in." A young man goes into a drugstore to buy condoms. The pharmacist says the condoms come in packs of 3, 9, or 12 and asks which the young man wants. "Well," he said, "I've been seeing this girl for a while and she's really hot. I want the condoms because I think tonight's the night. We're having dinner with her parents and then we're going out. And I've got a feeling I'm gonna get lucky after that. Once she's had me, she'll want me all the time, so you'd better give me the 12-pack. The young man makes his purchase and leaves. Later that evening, he sits down to dinner with his girlfriend and her parents. He asks if he might give the blessing, and they agree. He begins the prayer, but continues praying for several minutes. The girl leans over to him and says, "You never told me that you were such a religious person." The boy leans over to her and whispers, "You never told me that your father is a pharmacist." A drunk gets up from the bar and heads for the bathroom. A few minutes later, a loud scream is heard from the bathroom. A few minutes after that, another loud scream through the bar. The bartender goes in to check why the drunk is screaming. "What's all the screaming about in there? You're scaring the customers." "I'm just sitting here on the toilet, and every time I flush, something comes up and squeezes the hell out of my balls." The bartender opens the door, looks in, and says, "You idiot. You're sitting on the mop bucket." A woman and a man get into a car accident, and it's a bad one. Both cars are totally demolished, but amazingly, neither of them is hurt. After they crawl out of their cars, the woman says, "So you're a man. That's interesting. And I'm a woman. Wow. Just look at our cars." There's nothing left, but fortunately we are unhurt. This must be a sign from God that we should meet and become friends and live together in peace the rest of our days. The man replied, "I agree with you completely. This must be a sign from God." The man replied, "I agree with you completely. This must be a sign from God." The woman continued, "And look at this, here's another miracle. My car is completely demolished, but this bottle of Mogan David wine didn't break. Surely God wants us to drink this wine and celebrate our good fortune." So she hands the bottle to the man. The man nods his head in agreement, opens it, and takes a few big swigs from the bottle, then hands it back to the woman. The woman takes the bottle, immediately puts the cap back on, and hands it back to the man. The man takes the bottle and asks, "Aren't you having any?" The woman replies, "No. I think I will just wait for the police." A man is dating 3 women and wants to decide which to marry. He decides to give them a test. He gives each woman a present of $5,000 and watches to see what she does with the money. The first does a total makeover. She goes to a fancy beauty salon, gets her hair done, new makeup, and buys several new outfits and dresses up very nicely for the man. She tells him that she has done this to be more attractive for him because she loves him so much. The man was impressed. The second goes shopping to buy the man gifts. She gets him a new set of golf clubs, some new gizmos for his computer, and some expensive clothes. As she presents these gifts, she tells him that she has spent all the money on him because she loves him so much. Again, the man is impressed. The third invests the money in the stock market. She earns several times the $5,000. She gives him back his $5,000 and reinvests the remainder in a joint account. She tells him that she wants to save for their future because she loves him so much. Obviously, the man was impressed. He thought for a long time about what each woman had done with the money, and then he married the one with the voluptuous boobs. So little Johnny's teacher is warned at the beginning of the school year not to ever make a bet with Johnny unless she is absolutely sure she will win it. One day in class, Johnny raises his hand and says, "Teacher, I'll bet you $50 I can guess what color your underwear is." She replies, "Okay, Meet me after class, and we'll settle it. But before class ends, she goes to the restroom and removes her panties. After class is over and the students clear out, Johnny makes his guess. Blue. Nope, you got it wrong, she says as she lifts her skirt to reveal she isn't wearing any underwear. Little Johnny said, well, come with me out to my dad's car, he's waiting for me, and I'll get you the money. She follows him out. When they get to the car, she informs his dad that he got the bet wrong and that she showed Johnny that she wasn't wearing any underwear. His dad exclaims, that motherfucker! He bet me $100 this morning that he'd see your pussy before the end of the day. There's this little guy sitting inside a bar, just looking at his drink. He stays like that for half an hour. Then, this big troublemaking truck driver steps next to him, takes the drink from the guy, and just drinks it all down. The poor man starts crying. The truck driver says, come on, man, I was just joking. Here, I'll buy you another drink. I just can't see a man crying. No, it's not that. Today's been the worst of my life. First, I overslept, was late to an important meeting. My boss, outraged, just fired me. When I left the building to my car, I found out it was stolen. The police, they said they could do nothing. I got a cab to return home, and after I paid the cab driver and the cab had gone, I found that I left my whole wallet in the cab. I got home only to find my wife was in bed with the gardener. I left home and came to this bar. And when I was thinking about putting an end to my life, you show up and drink my poison. A gynecologist had become fed up with malpractice insurance and HMO paperwork and was burned out. Hoping to try another career where skillful hands would be beneficial, he decided to become a mechanic. He went to the local technical college and then signed up for evening classes, attended diligently, and learned all he could. When the time of the practical exam approached, the gynecologist prepared carefully for weeks and completed the exam with tremendous skill. When the results came back, he was surprised to find that he had obtained a score of 150%. Fearing an error, he called the instructor saying, I don't want to appear ungrateful for such an outstanding result, but I wonder if there's an error in the grade. The instructor said, during the exam, you took the engine apart perfectly, which was worth 50% of the total mark. You put the engine back together again perfectly, which is also worth 50% of the mark. After a pause, the instructor added, I gave you an extra 50% because you did it all through the muffler. A man called home to his wife and said, Honey, I have been asked to go fishing up in Canada with my boss and several of his friends. We'll be gone for a week. This is a good opportunity for me to get that promotion I've been wanting, so could you please pack enough clothes for a week and set out my rod and fishing box? We're leaving from the office, and I will swing by the house to pick my things up. Oh, please pack my new blue silk pajamas. The wife thinks this sounds a bit fishy, but being the good wife she is, did exactly what her husband asked. The following weekend, he came home a little tired, but otherwise looking good. The wife welcomed him home and asked if he caught many fish. He said, yes, lots of salmon, some bluegill, and a few swordfish. But why didn't you pack my new blue silk pajamas like I asked you to do? The wife replied, I did. They're in your fishing box. A girl goes to her boyfriend's parents' house for dinner. This is to be her first time meeting the family, and she is very nervous. They all sit down and begin eating a fine meal. The girl is beginning to feel a little discomfort, thanks to her nervousness and the broccoli casserole. The gas pains are almost making her eyes water. Left with no other choice, she decides to relieve herself a bit and lets out a dainty fart. It wasn't loud, but everyone at the table heard the poof. Before she even had a chance to be embarrassed, her boyfriend's father looked over at the dog that had been snoozing at the woman's feet and said in a rather stern voice, Skippy! She thought, this is great, and a big smile came across her face. A couple of minutes later, she was beginning to feel the pain again. This time, she didn't even hesitate. She let a much louder and longer fart rip. The father again looked at the dog and yelled, Damn it, Skippy! A few minutes later, the woman had to let another one rip. This time, she didn't even think about it. She let rip a fart that rivaled a train whistle blowing. Once again, the father looked at the dog with disgust and yelled, Damn it, Skippy! Get away from her before she shits on you!